points, not bad. But again, Jalen Brunson, 29 points. Karl Anthony Town had 18, Josh Hart had 15, Anunoby had 14 points. So all of those Knicks starters doing their job, but just wasn't enough yet. All right. Time to welcome in CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez. John, oh my goodness, this game could not have been more stressful down the line. All 5 Knicks starters had double digits, including Mitchell Robinson off the bench. He had 13 points, and they still ended up losing. What happened to the Knicks in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, that's a great question because the Knicks are one of the best, if not the best, fourth quarter team in the NBA. Prior to tonight, Caroline, they were 46-2 with a lead going into the fourth quarter. They had a 12-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and they ended up losing it. Just their third loss of the season with a lead going into the fourth. And they have the best fourth quarter defense in the NBA. That didn't work out. And they have the best fourth quarter point differential during the regular season in the NBA. That didn't work out. So what happened here was Jalen Brunson had 29 points. Fantastic. But they really made him work. The Hawks did on offense. He was just 10 of 26 from the floor, missed some really crucial shots late in this game, and turnovers led to points for the Hawks. That was something that didn't happen in game 1. That's something they fed off of all season long, and that did happen in game 2. Brunson had a critical turnover late in the game when Nickeil Alexander-Walker picked his pocket. They got out on the fast break, and Jalen Johnson ended up converting. So they had 20 fast break points tonight. That's above their season average. They were third in fast break points during the regular season, the Hawks were. So just sort of like a perfect storm for the Hawks in the fourth quarter and an absolutely brutal storm for the Knicks in the fourth quarter. And one more thing I want to say here. They lose this game by 1 point. Well, we'll look at the free throw shooting. The Knicks missed 10 free throws tonight. Yes, CJ McCollum missed those 2 critical ones at the end, but it didn't end up hurting them. But those 10 free throws came back to haunt the Knicks tonight.
Yeah, those 10 free throws could have made all the difference. We have to talk about CJ McCollum, 32 points. Why could the Knicks not seem to stop him?
Yeah, great question, because they have 2 incredible defenders, perimeter defenders, wing defenders, and OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, and actually Josh Hart too, throwing him in there as well. Josh Hart was on Jalen Johnson for much of the night. They did end up, I think, keying on Jalen Johnson and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Nickeil Alexander-Walker has had a terrible series so far. He's a combined, 8 from 27 from the field? But then you had CJ McCollum stepping up in his absence, right? He went for 26 in the last game. He goes for 32 tonight, and they needed every one of those points. And CJ McCollum, who they got basically as a throw-in when they traded Trae Young, CJ McCollum's on an expiring contract. The Wizards gave him away for Trae Young, and he's been fantastic for the Hawks, exactly what they needed. He's the guy who really knows his role, really good shooter, generally efficient, and a team guy who fits in and in this series has been crucial for the Hawks, who they needed offense in game 1, didn't work out. They got more offense from him and overall in game 2, and they end up stealing one on the road as the series swings back to Atlanta. Man, if you're the Hawks, like, that's going to be a fun flight back to Atlanta. And if you're the Knicks, man, you're wondering how this happened.
I just have to wonder, do you think the Hawks have kind of found their game plan now with shutting down Jalen Brunson and forcing anyone else to shoot defensively, and then offensively going through CJ McCollum?
Yeah, and for sure the first part, for the Jalen Brunson component, I mean, in both games, he was not efficient. He had really bad shooting night in game 1 and a really bad shooting night in game 2. Now, he put up points, but he had to work to do it. So the Hawks, I think, the theory of the case there is, yeah, all right, if he goes for 29 on 26 shots, we can kind of live with that. And also the other thing here, and I want to just keep coming back to this, the Hawks are really reliant on that defense, right? Using that defense to create turnovers and generate offense. Didn't work out in game 1. In game 2, it very much worked out. They turned the Knicks over 14 times tonight, generated 18 points off of that. And also, they were out on the break. I mean, they didn't really get to run in game 1. It was actually the Knicks who had 22 fast break points in game 1. Well, tonight, the Hawks go for 20, which is above their average when they finished 3rd in the NBA in fast break points. So this formula for them, get out and run, create turnovers, make Jalen Brunson work. It worked tonight.
Yeah, it sure did. And game 3 will be in Atlanta, series all tied up. So we will see if the Knicks now can try to steal one on the road. John Gonzalez, thanks so much. We're looking at those fourth quarter numbers that we were just talking about. Quite the difference between the Hawks and the Knicks. The Hawks were able to get 28 points to just 15 with the Knicks. You can see that field goal percentage for the Knicks was down 23%. And with those 3-pointers, 3 for 11 with the Knicks. So not some good numbers for the Knicks. That fourth quarter usually a strong point for them. Not so hot tonight.
Game apiece. Back with Wally. Alan Hahn's going to be here in a couple of moments. And we say hello across the street to Monica McNutt. She helped call the game on the radio on ESPN New York. Monica, we're kind of lulled asleep over here. You know, we're watching, all of a sudden it's a loss. It's like, what happened?
Yeah, I understand the feeling, Pito. I will say this, in the second quarter, Tyler Murray, my terrific partner, our lovely colleague, said, you know, if the Knicks lose this game, we'll point to free throws. Because at that point, I think they had missed 6 free throws. Ultimately, they finished the ball game having left 10 points at the line, and it is a one-possession game. I added to what Tyler said, the three-point shooting might come back to haunt them as well, because we know typically when this team doesn't shoot well, it's hard for them to overcome that. Now, despite all of that, y'all, until about 3 minutes in the ball game, you thought you were going to be able to get out of here and survive. But I think the last turnover by Jalen Brunson, the inability to stop the Hawks in the paint in the clutch time portion of this ball game, that was pretty much all she wrote. And with all that considered, you got a decent look to close the game. But I think when you go back, and this is why I asked Mike Brown about the fourth quarter in today's pregame press conference, when you go back and look, I think, again, they kind of took their foot off their gas a bit in that fourth and didn't give you 48 total minutes.
I agree, and it started with the bench, Monica. The momentum really shifted. Because the Knicks, you know, they put Alvarado now in the lineup. Alvarado, you know, was okay. But, you know, the continuity of the bench, they kind of, both stints they had, I think, to start the second quarter and the fourth quarter weren't as good as they were in the first half, in the first game especially.
Correct.
And I think the Hawks kind of smelled that. They sniffed that. They used that momentum to kind of say, hey, we made this a ball game here. We got a chance to pull this one off. And then I agree with you, Monica. They did not execute down the stretch the way the Knicks are capable of.
Monica, points in the paint in the fourth quarter, 22 for the Hawks, 4 for the Knicks.
Pito,
the Knicks were dominant. After 3 quarters, the Knicks were up 50-36 points in the paint. Fourth quarter, 22 for Atlanta, 4 for New York.
Honestly, like, there were a couple of stats that we were tracking tonight that really sort of were the solve, if you will, on the poor three-point shooting and what they had left at the three-point line. And that was rebounds and it was second-chance opportunities, because they were dominant in both categories. As the game turned, you're absolutely right. You look up, and it's actually the Hawks that finished the game, I think, +6, 58-52 in that paint scoring category. And so to me, yes, when we go back and watch the tape, do you see some schematic differences? I thought the Hawks did a better job of spreading the floor so that the help defense that was so on point in the first half wasn't as readily available. CJ McCollum went after Jalen Brunson, who we know competes on that side of the floor, but he had a 32-point night, so it wasn't much you could do there. And on the other side, I thought the Knicks settled for jump shots as opposed to getting to the paint. And then there were some times they were in the paint, and for whatever reason, the ball was dancing around on the rim and refused to give them the home team bounce. And so, yeah, that points in the paint, Peter, I'm with you. That one was particularly telling. And I believe tonight the Knicks finished with 14 turnovers. I don't have a final box in front of me, but they had 2 very costly turnovers late in the fourth quarter.
Indeed, 14 turnovers for the Knicks led to 18 Atlanta points.
Yeah.
All right, Monica, thank you. We'll talk to you on Thursday night, Game 3 from Atlanta.
Sounds good.